If you're thinking that luxury in Austin is just about downtown condos and lakefront homes, think again. The next level of privacy and luxury is absolutely hidden in plain sight out here in the Hill Country. True luxury buyers now are looking for space, they're looking for privacy, and they're looking for the little attention to detail that's going to make that lifestyle exactly what they want. And what I'm finding now is the best opportunities are located well outside of the Austin skyline. So if you've been looking on Zillow and Realtor.com, looking for a luxury property, and everything you come across, you just keep telling yourself, nope, that's not quite right. Here's the thing, you're not alone, because you are not going to find the best opportunities on Zillow. So in this video, we're going to talk about what high-end luxury living in the Hill Country actually looks like. And the thing is, most people, when they think of luxury in Austin, you know, they imagine this high-rise condo overlooking Town Lake. Yeah, I know it's called Lady Bird Lake now, but whatever. Or, you know, something situated along Lake Austin or one of the other constant level lakes that we've got out here. But what a lot of people are missing right now is the highest value properties are not coming with boat docks and elevators anymore. Now we're starting to talk about real luxury, things with airstrips, equestrian barns, riding arenas, huge hill country views just for miles without seeing another house, vineyards, yep, rows and rows of vines. That's what's constituting real luxury at this point around Austin and into the Hill Country. So if that's what you've been looking for and you can't find it on Zillow, you're over the downtown flash and the glamour and all of that other stuff, this video's for you. The first thing we're going to talk about is what are luxury buyers actually looking for in 2025? You know at this point, it's more than a beautiful home. Look, you can find a beautiful home. Beautiful homes are everywhere. But the people that I've been working with in this space, and we're talking CEOs, high-level people that you may know, what they're looking for is something beyond features and finishes. They're telling me things like, look, I want to walk outside onto my pool deck, and I don't want to see another soul, but I want to see all of the Hill Country. I'm starting to hear things like this. I want to fly my plane in, land, or my helicopter, and I want to be able to walk to my house or jump in my golf cart and ride over to the house. I've also been told recently, I want the type of property, a huge legacy property that I can leave to my kids and my grandkids, and they're going to be able to go back there for the rest of their lives and pass that down generation after generation. These are the buyers that actually want to grow something that means something to them. They want to build something that doesn't exist outside of what's in their head, and they want to put that on the ground here in the Hill Country. The height of luxury being marble bathrooms and soapstone countertops, those days are over with. Today it's all about being able to tell a story. It's all about having that space, being able to spread out, it's being able to have control over the destiny of a property. And when you walk out every day, being able to say, yep, that's something that I wanted, that's what I built. Now, a while ago, if I piqued your interest when I said you want to be able to fly in, okay, we're talking about one of the best kept secrets in Central Texas. These are private aviation communities, and yes, they exist. They're not all that rare. You just have to know where to look to get to them. There's communities out here that as a homeowner, you can land your plane on the airstrip and taxi it to your hangar next to your house. Think about it. Not having to go to the airport, even the executive airport, not having to worry about TSA lines, anything like that. Just jump in your plane, fly wherever you want, directly from the comfort of your own neighborhood. But like I said earlier, you're likely not going to find this on Zillow because there's not a ton of these neighborhoods, and the ones that people are looking to get into, the property when they sell, they very rarely hit the open market. And yes, there are individual properties, large tracts of land, especially out as you get further out into the Hill Country, that have private airstrips, but a lot of these are actual neighborhoods, communities with huge luxury homes, multiple lots, and it feels like you're actually living in a normal community aside from the fact that you can taxi your plane up to your house. And the best thing about most of these communities is that the lots there are big. We're not talking like a half acre, quarter acre, something like that. We're talking acres of your lot. So again, you get that privacy. You don't have to be able to see your neighbors, but you get the convenience of having that airstrip there in the neighborhood. The next property I'm seeing high-end buyers look for more and more are equestrian properties. And I'm telling you, some of the most breathtaking properties that you're going to see in the Hill Country have full equestrian setups. We're talking arenas, multiple barns, tack rooms, paddocks, fenced pastures with beautiful grass as far as you can see. Heck, I'm even seeing quite a few barns now that are fully climate controlled, air conditioned, and heated. When you're making the kind of investment people are putting into horses these days, you're going to keep them comfortable. But the thing that sets these apart isn't just the infrastructure and the buildings and things like that. The people who have built these properties have built them to be used, have built them to be able to ride your horses, to be able to train horses, to be able to break horses, all the things that you would do as an equestrian owner. And the thing is that matters. Very few people want a big, pretty barn that they don't do do anything with. If you're somebody that's into horses, you want function that blends into your lifestyle. You don't want your lifestyle and then have to work everything else around that. And the best thing about these properties is they typically come with ag tax exemptions, and that's going to make that tax burden on that property, because it might be 200, 300, 400 acres, but it's going to make that tax burden a lot lower than it would be if you were just on a 5-acre piece of property in a normal subdivision. So with these luxury properties, whether you're wanting to host events, you're wanting to do some training, you're wanting to breed, or if you even just want to keep a couple of your old horses happy and comfortable as they get off into their older years, there's properties that are available. But the great thing is you don't have to sacrifice that luxury to get to those properties. The next properties that are becoming really popular out here are vineyard properties. We're out here in the hill country, and now we've got the Napa Valley of Texas. That's what they call it, because guys, the wine scene out here in the hill country has absolutely exploded over the last 10 years. But the cool thing is you don't actually have to have a winery or want to create wine from those grapes on your own. You can have somebody else do that. On the small end, I've helped clients with properties that are just big enough where you can put in enough grapevines so that you can qualify for an ag exemption with them. Again, reducing those property taxes, being able to look out at your vineyard with those rows of grapes, absolutely beautiful. And then what you do beyond that's completely up to you. Do you want to put in the facility to go ahead and make wine, put in maybe a small tasting room? Okay, that's cool. A lot of people out here are putting in guest quarters in that vineyard, kind of making it feel like you're somewhere in Italy, so that when you wake up in the morning, you walk out of your little guest quarters and again, you're right in the middle of a vineyard. Absolutely beautiful and amazing. And I've seen a lot of these properties. And I've also got clients that just want the aesthetic. They want it to look like a vineyard. So they just have rows of grapes and they have somebody else come in and tend to them because they don't want to mess with the actual grapes. I've even got a client who is a professional grapevine seller, a retailer. I don't know if that's the right word for it, but if you buy a property and you need help getting that vineyard started, I've got the guy for you. The thing about this is if you just want the aesthetic, or you want to dabble a little bit in making wine, or you've got these grand plans of actually ramping this up and turning this into a business, I've got the people I can connect you with to get this started. And obviously I know what to look for from a land perspective. But the question at this point, and even if your idea of luxury is beyond those things, the question becomes, why don't you see these properties on Zillow? I mean, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, some of these owners have a high profile lifestyle and they don't want their properties to be seen online. Other ones, they just don't really photograph well and they don't want to put that out there because people that are going on Zillow may not know what they're looking for. And if it doesn't show up well online, well, people are just going to scroll past it. Another problem that we see is listing agents not really being able to describe what the property is. And again, it's a little bit underwhelming. You see a vineyard that might be 50 acres, absolutely gorgeous, but it only has a 2,000 square foot house on it and it's listed for a couple of $1 million. Okay, that doesn't register for most people because again, they go back to what's the square footage and it doesn't register what the lifestyle is like. What is that property like? What is the experience like on it? And I go back to always telling these buyers, look, if you're looking on Zillow and what you're looking for isn't there, it's not because what you're looking for doesn't exist. It's just not listed the way that you're used to looking for them. So at that point, if it's not listed in a normal way, you've got to find somebody that knows who those listing agents are, where those sellers are, where the pockets are that have those pocket listings. That's what I'm here for. Because in this segment of luxury homes, you absolutely have to know what the off-market market looks like. And if you're going down this road and if you're looking for this new idea of luxury and you're not finding it, I'm going to tell you some of the things that these buyers typically overlook because again, they're just not experienced into what they're actually looking for. So before you go down that road of buying a luxury property for lifestyle, you got to ask yourself a few questions. First is there a wildlife management plan or is it an ag exemption or something like that? Again, it's not necessary, but at the same time, it can save you a huge amount of money in taxes. So knowing that up front is key, at least in my opinion. The second thing is, how is your water source? Because a lot of times people will come out to the hill country, they don't quite understand what the water situation looks like. So you really need to know, are you going to have a well? Are there rainwater collections? Are there cisterns that you have to store water in? Things like that. That's another important question. And does that way of delivering water for your property actually fit with the lifestyle? It's only producing 5 to 6 gallons a minute and you want to irrigate a field for your horses. Does that make sense? Or are you going to have to come in later and put in a deeper well and a bigger well? Or are you going to have to come in later, put in a deeper well and a bigger pump? Another thing to ask is that property in a city's jurisdiction, an ETJ, or is it fully unrestricted? What you want to do on that property, that could change how you can use that property. The next question, and most equestrian folks know this, but again, if you've got dreams of potentially having a vineyard or an airport or something like that on your land, you really have to understand what the fencing is like. Does it have full perimeter fencing? If you're looking for equestrian, are there cross fences? Do you have paddocks in? You've got an airstrip. You're going to want fencing that's deer proof, because you're not going to want a deer or a hog running across that runway as you're trying to land. Same thing goes for the vineyard. You're going to have to keep deer and things like that out of the vineyard, so you're going to have to make sure there's a really good perimeter fence put up. So does it exist now, or what's the cost of actually adding that to the property after you buy it? One of the other things to consider out here, and see if it just matches up to what your idea of luxury is, what do you need from a nighttime light perspective? Just about every community now out here in the hill country is a dark skies community, which means that it's not like they can fine you or anything like that, but they really want you to keep your lights dark sky compliant. So knowing if that meshes with what your ideal use for the property is pretty important, because all of these little details can really truly make or break that luxury experience that you're looking for. Again, going back to the whole idea here, the idea of luxury has really changed. It's more about an experience and how you live in a lifestyle, as opposed to just a floor plan and finish out. The buyers that I'm talking to in this segment, it's not about showing off for them anymore. It's about them living intentionally, feeling grounded, and being free with the way that they live. And if you've ever heard yourself saying to yourself, I don't need more house, I just need a better situation or a better setting, you're that type of luxury buyer.